Cheguei.
Ela ainda não entrou, mas também vamos mais tarde.
Vocês estão a entrar às 6h45.
Ah, ok, está bem.
Só pedir para a malta. Thank you so much, and we will start now with Pink Room exploring what's Web3 on mobile right now. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everybody. So my name is Maximino. I'm a part of Pink Room, and we are here today to explore a little bit of the state of the art of Web3 on mobile and talk a little bit on the past, present, and possible futures of these technologies. I will start by giving some overview on what is the current state of the technologies, and then we will have 3 lightning talks about Solana Phone, HTH OS, and Wallet Connect, and then try to answer some questions about what's next in this field. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. Okay. So what's the state of the mobile Web3 world right now? From our opinion, we are still at a very, very early stage. iPhone and Android have been around for years, as you know, and while blockchain technology, namely Bitcoin, has been around for around 10 years, we are only seeing in the latest times the usage to grow to the general public through many dApps that are appearing, because at some years ago, the general public would not be able to access Web3 on mobile, or neither in web, because it was specific for people that know a lot in the field. We also think that for mass adoption of Web3, the mobile part is extremely important. The masses use mobile. It is the device that we use the most every day. At least every each of us probably has a cell phone. We use it hundreds of times per day, and it's a device that is available for the majority of the world population. We think this is a really important step for the usage of the Web3 on mobile to grow, and for many companies to export their apps into mobile also, because as the community grows, more apps will appear. Okay. In the past, another problem for this adoption is that in the past, the main Web3 dApps were wallets. And if you wanted to interact with other dApps, you would also need to use like a wallet in the browser, a browser wallet, a wallet browser, a browser that is inside the wallet, so you can connect to your wallet, which in usability is terrible, and user experience is a terrible thing, and does not help the adoption of mobile apps, because everybody is used to make a simple login in their apps and everything works, and people, normal people, are not used to this kind of flows. It's extremely confusing to them. Also, there were not that much use cases for mobile apps. Most of them are wallets, mostly related to DeFi and nothing else. That also doesn't contribute for the mass adoption. Then, Wallet Connect protocol appeared and allowed some apps to communicate with external wallets, which boosted a little bit the usage. But as we will see next in the lightning talk presented by Ferreiro, this technology is not enough because even for developers, it's extremely difficult to use. The only companies that probably can improve and can improve this boost are Google and Apple because of the Android and iOS, but they have made no updates to give us roadmaps in the future, and also the App Store policies on Google and Apple side haven't evolved for Web3, and for example, Apple has really strict rules on Web3 usage. Another huge problem that we saw is that, for example, in the desktop apps, it's extremely simple to use Web3. You have your wallet and the pop-up appears, and you will only need to make a login. But in mobile, you are using a app, you need to change to the wallet app, you need to log in on that wallet app, you need to sign the transactions in there, then your phone changes again to the previous app, and it's extremely confusing. Again, for the normal people that just want to use an app on their phone, it's not a really good experience. So it's time for the secure biometric integrated custody solutions we have been dreaming of, and the technology already allows us to do this. So it's time to have access to this. So today we will present very briefly 3 projects that can improve this: Solana Phone, ATH-OS, and then Wallet Connect. Okay. So Solana Phone, here we go. Solana Phone, it's a really cool phone. It has all of these features. It's not that much expensive compared to like an iPhone compared to this. You put upfront 100 euros, the total price is 1,000, and you get all of this. I think it's a really extremely good phone, so that's all. No, I'm just joking. These features we saw previously are not the main features of this phone. What makes this phone different from the rest? Why did Solana produce this phone? Phones, as we said before, are the items we use the most. So, and then for us to be able to use wallets, secure wallets in our phones, hardware wallets are extremely pain in the ass to use, especially on mobile phones, because you need to plug them on a USB drive, for example. And software wallets are peanuts to use, are really simple to use, but not that secure. Also, as we saw in those videos before, the UX is not that great. So, how does the Solana Phone changes this? It has a microchip called a secure element microchip. And this chip is designed to secure confidential information and cryptographic data at the hardware level. This makes it extremely secure. And it only allows interactions with trusted applications and has its own operating system, allowing making the sign-in transactions by allowing the apps to send data to it, and he signs the transactions and devolves and returns the results, not the opposite. Okay? This has the same level of security as hardware wallets, which normally are USBs, but give us the usability of a mobile phone, of a normal app. So, Solana Mobile, we talked about the Solana phone, which is the phone they pretend to launch next year. But then they also provide us with Solana Mobile Stack. And what is this? They have these 4 components. Mainly, these 2 are the most important. Mobile Wallet Adapter is a protocol specification for any Android device, not just the Solana phone. They call it the Saga phone. And nowadays there are 2 wallets that are available to integrate with this adapter. Many wallets more are currently being developed and integrated with this. For now, they support Phantom and Solfair. Then the Seed Vault is a service system that provides security custody to wallet apps by integrating with the secure element microchip. What does this mean? This is the chip we talked before, and this a layer that allows any wallet, any app to talk with a wallet and have this protection, this protection layer that the other wallets don't have. Okay. Then Solana DApp Store, they are also developing a store specifically for dApps, where you only find dApps. And these apps will also use the mobile wallet adapter, so you have all these functionalities right away. And then they plan, this is not done yet, they plan to launch Solana Pay, which allows people to pay simply using their phones. So this is the flow for the mobile. Developer creates Android app using Solana libraries, these libraries we talked before. They then publish the app to the App Store of Solana. The user installs the app into their Saga device or another Android device. This law is specific for the Saga device because we will talk about the microchip, and the microchip is only available in the Saga device. Then the app uses wallet adapter to communicate with the wallet, any wallet the user has installed. Wallet communicates with the Seed Vault service. The microchip receives payload inside the private key. The microchip sends signed payload to the wallet app, and then the wallet communicates with the Seed Vault service. Okay. So this was my presentation. Next, I will give the voice to Bruno, which will talk about Ethereum OS.
Thank you, Maxi. And hello, everyone. Basically, I will talk a little bit about ETH OS, okay? This will be a very, very briefly and light talk. The main goal is to show you a little bit about what is ETH OS and why I think this is a very cool project. Feel free to interrupt me if you want and ask questions. You can also do them at the end of the presentation, or even better, while drinking a beer after all the presentations. Let's start with a basic intro. So ETH OS is basically an operating system based on Lineage OS. And Lineage OS is, like you know, the normal Android, but without the Google stuff, without the bad stuff, okay? And it's one of the most used Android versions that it's not the Google version of Android. And this is what ETH OS is an operating system that is based on Lineage OS. The manifest of the ETH OS team defines the ETH OS as a decentralized and permissionless system, which I actually don't know 100% what they mean by this, okay? So what is a decentralized operating system? This is something that I don't know 100% what they mean by, but I think they tell this because this is an OS that is not controlled by a single authority like Google or Apple, okay? And it's instead of that, it's governed by and built by a community, and of course takes into consideration decentralization at its core, as opposed to what we have on Google and on Android and iOS. And it's basically permissionless because it doesn't restrict how apps should behave and so on. At the end of the day, the end goal of the Ethereum OS is to create an Ethereum phone. You kind of notice a pattern here. So Solana is building a Solana phone. Ethereum, it's not the core Ethereum group, but the community is building an Ethereum phone. So something is happening in the same direction here. And basically, why do we need a specific mobile OS that is crypto native? I think Maxi already talked a little bit about this, but basically, and first of all, because mobile is a huge market, okay? And it's important to reach the market, to reach people. Second, because it will enable developers to build faster and better Web3 apps. And of course, because of this, we will have a much better user experience in the Web3 world, which will enable us to, at the end of the day, reach max adoption, okay? And currently, it's impossible to do it with Android and iOS because basically these OSs are not prepared for the Web3 new paradigms. Fortunately, Android is open source, which is very cool, but iOS is, you know. So we also need projects like this since we need OSs and new hardware that will allow our devices to be more decentralized, more secure, and basically can still have the same UX experience that we have with Web 2.0. And this is why ETHOS projects and Solana phone projects are very, very important nowadays. So now that you know why I think ETHOS is important and is a nice project, I will let you know just a couple of features and cool features that I think are very nice, and you already have access to them. Okay, so the project is already deployed. You have access to ETHOS and you can use it on your daily basis. So first of all, we have a system wallet, and first disclaimer, this is in alpha testing, so don't use it as your daily wallet if you try ETH phone. But this works basically as a proof of concept today, okay, to showcase why and how you can do a much better UX experience in Web3. So Fred will talk a little bit about Wallet Connect at the end of these lighting talks. But one of the biggest problems, as Maxi showed in the first presentation, is that you need to basically all the time being switched between the dApp and the wallet to sign transactions and perform transactions and so on. And by implementing and creating a system wallet, you basically can communicate directly from your wallet to from your dApp to the system, and basically communicate between the dApp to the system wallet without this ping pong, basically, okay? Which is really awesome. So instead of having that switch of context, you can just run your app as usually and accept transactions, sign transactions, and connect to a wallet in a very simple way. And this is very cool. The other thing is basically a decentralized chat. So the message app that you have on the ETHOS is a decentralized chat. So it uses the extensible message transport protocol, XMTP, to enable you to send message to Ethereum users, basically. And it also supports ENS and stuff like that. And XMTP also has another set of cool features that can be used in the future. So for example, push notifications and stuff like that can be done as well with this specific protocol, which is decentralized. Finally, and basically the most exciting feature, at least for me, that they have currently in the ETHOS is the ability to run light nodes on your mobile device, and why this is huge and crucial for decentralization. So to give you a little bit of context, currently, if you use your MetaMask wallet, which I'm assuming almost everyone here already used, what happens is that when you want to communicate with the Ethereum network, they basically trust in a third-party service, okay? So in this case, they use Infura to do that, and this is the middleman that will communicate with the Ethereum network. And why this is a problem or a big deal? Because you are using a wallet to communicate to a decentralized system, but you are using a centralized system to communicate with the decentralized system at the end of the day. So it defeats the purpose a little bit, right? So with light nodes, you can simply connect with your local node, and you don't depend and don't need to trust on third parties, which is quite cool. And basically, they did a lot of experience in how to run a light node efficiently in mobile, which is something that is tricky, as you might understand. And the last integration that they did, which was like 2 weeks ago, I think, they integrated with the Helios light node, which is basically a light node that is very, it doesn't consume a lot of resources, so it's very cool for mobile devices. How can you test this thing? So if you have a Pixel 3 XL or 5A, which needs to be unlocked, of course, you can install the ETH and you can also test and install the ETH in an Android emulator. Warning notice, if you have an ARM processor, it will not work, so you need to have like an Intel or something like that. Keep in mind, again, this is in a very early stages, so just test things. It's very important for the community to have people testing things of ETH, give feedback. So if you want to contribute, just testing it on an emulator and give feedback to the community is very cool. You can join the Discord of the community, and of course, you can see if there is any task that you can help somehow. So, to finalize this, what is the future of ETH and I think the future overall of mobile in Web3? This is a personal opinion, of course. So, the end goal, as most of the devices right now or Solana phone projects, is building a phone that is specific built for Web3 needs. Specifically for ETH, I think it's very important to have a stable version of this system wallet. They are also building, this will be done in the next release of the OS, which is building basically a native NFT minting app, so you can just pick up a photo or take a photo and mint an NFT without gas fees costs. They are using Layer 2 to do that, which is very cool as well. Of course, they need a decentralized store, as Maxi talked about in the Solana project phone. And they need a lot of different stuff, right? Personal opinion, I think the future might be using hardware to generate and store keys and sign transactions, of course. You need to have that kind of hardware in your mobile devices to use them every day, to have security and to be able to easily communicate with dApps. You need permissions to communicate with that hardware level. So imagine, for example, in your Android or iOS devices nowadays, if you need to access the camera, you need to accept a runtime permission to access that camera. This should be the same format that you have to access a hardware wallet on your mobile devices. And decentralization matters and should be one of the main things that we need to be aware in this Web3 space. Decentralized communication like messages, calls, push notifications, decentralized storage, images, documents, apps, videos, whatever, and try to avoid trusting in third parties like Infura, Alchemy, and stuff like that. Of course, for the developer's point of view, we need a much better tooling. Tooling right now for Web3 and specifically for mobile, it's bad. I will not lie to you. The experience is terrible right now. And at the end of the day, I think Google and Apple will need to adapt if they don't want to lose market share. Not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, actually, but they will need to adapt. And being said, I think I will handle it to Ferreiro, and thank you very much for having me. The Wallet Connect talk will start now.
Thank you, Bruno. Yeah, this is yours. Don't forget about it. So, I've been introduced a couple of times by my friends. I'm Ferreiro. I'm currently doing React Native in Pink Room. And I'm here to talk a little bit about Wallet Connect. So far we talked about some technologies both on the hardware and the operating system layers, but I would like to go a bit further up and actually talk about the software layer, more specifically relating to development tools. And in that regard, Wallet Connect is by far the most known and used tool around. But firstly, let's talk about why. What was the motivation behind this tool? Essentially, by definition, dApps and operate by communicating with decentralized systems, such as blockchains or other decentralized ledgers. And they usually make this possible using smart contracts, as most of you may know. So in order to change data with these smart contracts, we need a wallet. And there's plenty of them, plenty of change, and most of them use different wallets, so it's kind of a mess. Besides this, on the developer side, managing private keys and seed phrases is most of the time is pretty tricky to get it right, especially if we are taking security into concern. Besides this as well, making the user create a new wallet for every app is pretty not a good practice in UX. So given all this, the Wallet Connect project was created, which is an open source protocol that helps implement established connections between most crypto wallets and dApps, decentralized apps. The protocol itself establishes a remote encrypted connection between the wallet and the dApp, mostly using QR code scanning, or deep linking to bridge this between these two apps. It also provides multi-chain support. So essentially, this helps bringing the ecosystem together, the apps and the wallets, enabling them to communicate securely, which is, by the way, very important for a dApp. You can't actually do proper stuff if you are not communicating securely with any smart contract. So currently, Wallet Connect is in version 2. Version 1 is the most widely used as of now, but is currently deprecated. And version 2 was recently released about 3 months ago or so. The architecture is pretty different, both on the outside and also on the inside, but also on the outside on the libraries that are provided for different tech stacks. And recently, there's been an effort from the development team on the Wallet Connect to enforce developers to use version 2 and chains to use version 2 over version 1. As you can see here, this is on the top banner of the documentation. They really want people to stop using version 1 and start using version 2 because they are quite different. I won't get too technical, don't worry, into how this works under the radar, but I will touch on some of the pains, essentially, that we at Pink Room felt developing with Wallet Connect. Essentially because it's currently the only option that we have to do these sort of things, and like Dave mentioned before, it's not really a good experience, let's say. So, like I said, I've been presenting this, it all looks so good, great UX and so on, but everything comes with a price, and the price in Wallet Connect is developer experience. So My perspective and the rest of the teams, at least at Pink Room, is very much stained by Wallet Connect. This happens in several different stacks: React Native, Kotlin, Flutter, all the ones that we tried. It's a little bit shaky. Everyone has the same opinion here. So I'm going to give you an example. We at Pink Room have been to some Web3 hackathons, and we noticed that not only us, but all the other teams around us, the general experience with Wallet Connect was the following. So initially you're new and stuff, you don't know what Wallet Connect is yet, so you're like, oh, this looks great, let's try it, and so on. But a couple of hours into development, you just start to realize that you're way too deep into nightmares and frustrations, how to make this work, it doesn't ever work. You have to question your life decisions multiple times, it's awful. And by the end of the hackathon, we noticed that this is an arbitrary number, don't worry, I wasn't counting, but about 80% of the project just completely ended up removing Wallet Connect, and because the time was too short, while the other 20% just found a way by bodging it around with immense trouble. It was really hard to get it to work. I was one of them, so yeah, it was really hard to get it to work. So I want to make clear, my point here is not to say that Wallet Connect is a bad tool, which is not. It's a great tool, very useful, very important for mobile development dApps nowadays, but it's a huge pain to be able to have it working fast enough for any project. So in projects outside hackathons, you do eventually get it to work with more time, but it's a big pain and it takes a lot more time to implement than you initially thought. And that's pretty much it. I would just add, so as a conclusion, I personally haven't tried version 2, the live version. I only tried it on the beta. But the beta version had the same issues as in version 1. So, like I said, the paradigm changes a little bit. I believe it's more powerful as it is, but it still has a lot to improve, though. So, especially on the developer experience side. So to finish off, there's also an interesting thought that I wanted to give to you, that is if stuff like Solana and the Solana phone and Ethereum OS can make Wallet Connect obsolete. You don't have to answer me right now, but if you do, feel free. So for instance, if these systems provide integrated wallets with libraries of their own, will this make Wallet Connect fall or thrive? It's a great question that I do not have a definite answer, and I like to think about it, and only time will be able to tell. So that's it for Wallet Connect and for our participation here as well. But I would like to leave you just with a couple more questions to think about. Essentially, what do you guys think will come next? Will be specific hardware that takes the role, custom OSs, open source developer tools, all of the above, none of the above? What do you guys think? We can discuss a little bit if you want now with everyone, or with some beers after, it's fine. And another interesting thought that I have the opinion that it is, but it's completely normal that not everyone agrees, is do you think that mobile is the best platform for Web3? So we all carry our phones, and before the Web3 boom, we were going into a mobile-first world. So does this also apply to Web3 or not? It was a question that I would like to leave around. And that's it from us. Thank you a lot. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them all. We have one here. Bill, please feel free to join me. Don't leave me here alone. I have no beer left, so yeah.
So,
Monteiro.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pink Room.
Sorry, Monteiro has a question.
Okay, so
very important question from João Monteiro.
You don't know if it is important or not. No.
I'm assuming.
But actually, I was, first of all, thank you for sharing this presentation with us. I was holding a question related to the first question you asked, because I think you really focus in the two main problems.
Or the next one?
Yeah, this one. I think you touch in the two main problems of Web3 currently, at least for the end user, which is the usability and the mess of, there are so many chains with different usage, and you have to have a specific wallet to interact with which one of them. And I'm just wondering if the path to go is not to have like a Wallet Connect OS or a Wallet Connect phone, because at the end of the day, I'm not interested in only have a device that runs Ethereum blockchain, and I'm only capable to interact with the Ethereum chain in that phone. And on the other hand, if I want to have the same experience in Solana, I have to have a different operating system. And the feeling I get is that the communities are very religious on this, so they are very targeted to focus in the projects they support more. But I'm wondering if the right path is not to try to join at least the main chains and try to create an operating system to interact at least with those one, like Solana, like Ethereum, like Cardano. So I would like to hear your opinion regarding that, and I'm not aware if there are projects currently being developed with this goal.
There may be, but at least I don't think we know about any yet. So I think you helped me answer that question in the regard that I believe that the eventual conclusion, or not the conclusion, the path goes through that solution, but the religiousness that you talked about really impacts the progress that we can make. So everyone is pushing the rope for their side, for their project, instead of thinking in Web3 as a whole. At least that's my feeling, not sure if it's theirs, but I would believe that the path to making Web3 normal like Web2 is today would go through building hardware and operating systems that are specifically focused for that, but for everything in Web3, not just Solana, not just Ethereum, and so on.
I think a solution like this must be developed by the community, because even if we have Apple or Google developing their own solutions for their own hardware, they will try to force their stacks or their blockchain.
Yeah, but the communities will do the same. At least that's what's happening right now, I feel. Not sure if you guys want to add anything, but
let me just add one thing. I think, sorry. That's a very interesting question, by the way. But I really think we are too soon to implement something like that, okay? So we are still building proof of concepts right now, and it's impossible or almost impossible right now to try to create like a mobile devices that will work for every chain and everything, okay? So you need to see these small improvements as small steps and big wins at the same time. Things like running light nodes in mobile devices were something that were almost impossible a couple of maybe months, years ago, and right now you can do it, and you can have a decentralized future in mind, okay? Communicating between networks and chains is another big topic that you will need to address somehow. You have bridges right now and stuff like that that allow you to do stuff like that, but I don't have too much knowledge on that area, but it's a big topic and something that I think we will address somehow, but probably in 10 years or more.
We have Wallet Connect as an example of a project that is trying to join all together and as the problems that you already mentioned as well.
But basically, with Wallet Connect, what you try to do is you have an app and you can connect to every chain and every network and every whatever. That's very important and very cool, but it's complex. It's very complex for the users. It's very complex in terms of UX. and for developers as well, but it doesn't solve the problem of decentralization, for example. You need to add options and ways to communicate in a peer-to-peer way to be able to, I don't want to tell fully decentralized because it's almost impossible, but yeah, you need projects like that.
Okay, I will leave some questions for the rest of the guys.
No questions, I suspect. I think that's it. Miguel is not here. I will try to call him using my microphone. Santana. On your right, Simo, on your right. Yeah, he went there. Just now. He's probably at the bathroom. I have no idea what will happen next, so I can't take his place, but here he is.
So no more thoughts? Sorry.
All good, thanks.
So thank you so much, Pink Room, and each one of you.
Yep.
Thank you again to all the sponsors. Thank you for the attention. So right now we will have a coffee break, and in a couple of minutes we will learn what Web3 Grad is doing and what Web3 Grad is pushing in this world. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, again. I'd like to ask you all to come back to the chairs, please. We are starting again. Francisco Carrera, come on. Guys, come on, come to the chairs, we are starting again. So, it's yours, go ahead. Oh yeah, the slides, right.
Okay. So I can talk in that direction, right? Okay, okay. Let's just give a moment for everyone to sit down again. All right. So hi, I'm Francisco. I'm one of the co-founders of Web3 Grad. Just a fun fact to start this presentation. It's my third time here on Coimbra.Blockchain, which isn't a lot because there were 3 episodes. Right before there was Coimbra.Blockchain, there was Blockchain Conference. I was a speaker on the 2nd episode. Then there was the season 1 of Coimbra.Blockchain. I was a speaker at episode 2. And now there's season 2 of Coimbra.Blockchain where I'm a speaker at the 2nd episode. So there's kind of everything overlapping again. So I'm here to talk about Web3 Grad. Web3 Grad is the future of online education regarding Web3. We have a little trailer for you guys. I don't know if I can share the sound. So after watching the trailer, I here come to present you the mission of Web3 Grad. We are empowering the next generation of Web3 developers by upskilling high-potential, eager-to-learn people and getting them a better job at building the future. Why is this? We found out that the online education regarding Web3 Grad was shit. It was completely outdated. Every video has some kind of Ukrainian or Indian man speaking with a heavy accent, and everything is outdated. For example, if you want to learn Solidity, every month or so you have a new version of Solidity, and it's really hard to keep up with every change in every version. So here at Web3 Grad, we are giving you an updated syllabus. Web3 Grad was co-founded by 4 handsome gentlemen, and then we added a 5th element called Rafaela. She is our community manager. And if you have heard about Web3 Grad on LinkedIn or any other platform, that's mainly her job, and she's doing an amazing job at it. We have the first two people, the first 2 persons, are 2 teachers at Católica University of Lisbon, and they are teachers of economics and business. Pedro has an extended job portfolio working at companies that we all know about, like Nokia, Accenture, and HP or Compaq. Pierre, another co-founder, is the director of CTIE, the Center of Technology, Innovation, and Empreendedorismo in English. Simão, our provost, is does everything, actually. Simão has been doing an amazing job at doing everything at Web3 Grad, and there's me, the dean, which I'm doing the most technical part of Web3 Grad, namely Solidity language. So what's the problem that we found out before co-founding Web3 Grad? Blockchain and Web3 growth is exploding, and interest levels are sky high, and coders are scarce. Everyone has an informatics engineering degree or a computer science degree, but not all of them can code in Web3. So just a couple numbers for you. The increase of Web3 interest over the last year was upwards of 500%. Companies are craving for new talent. 60% of the developers currently working in Web3 projects started last year, and Web3 coders only represent 7% of the 27 million active software developers. So as you can see, there's a lot of the average salary for every blockchain engineer rounds about here in Portugal from 100K to 120K. In other countries like Germany, it runs from 60K to 150K. And then we have the US, which is all, a common dream of us to go to the US. It runs about the 100K. So in Web3 Grad, we have a skill set, a syllabus of design of the blockchain architecture. We offer the opportunity to learn about data structures in Solidity, cryptography, smart contract development, once again in Solidity, using a huge number of IDEs like Remix, which is for Ethereum, and VS Code if you want, and then web development normally in React. So we at Web3 Grad, what we did was create a coding academy that produces qualified Web3 coders very quickly. So we let existing Web2 developers, which I assume all of us can develop a bit in Web2, and then we upskill them in to Web3 and help them find better jobs. We provide trained talent availability to employers, enabling growth of every person, and we let company upskill their existing talent, enabling new business while increasing motivation and reducing friction. Because the knowledge gap between Web2 and Web3 is pretty tight, and there's not a lot of time for existing employers to learn about while doing their job. So what can we do at Web3 Grad for you? If you join our next cohort, we are currently doing our first cohort, the first real one after the test. We can give you a accurate upskill path, the entry door into the community if you don't already have it. Coimbra.Blockchain is doing an amazing job at building the community. We can allow you to upskill yourself by doing our course, having the pace that you need to have. If you only want to learn at night, you can do that. If you want to spend the whole day learning about Web3, you can do that. We give you the resources for that. And then we can give you the intro to potential employers. What happens at Web3 Grad, we have a 3-week course. We give you all the content for the 3 weeks. And during the second week, on the middle of it, you'll start doing a Web3 project, namely building an app. So the last part of the second week and the third week are all to do the project. And depending on how well you do on the project, we can enter you to potential employers. So our call to action is, what are you waiting for? You already come to this type of events. You normally have interest in Web3. So if you are a Web2 dev and you want to upskill yourself to Web3, and you want a better job, then you are now on a Web3 cohort. Make the most out of it. And we are going to revolutionize Web3, and what are you waiting for? Thank you for listening. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you, Francisco. Thank you so much. So right now, I will be presenting myself again to everyone who wasn't here on the first talk. I'm Miguel Santana. I'm one of the general coordinators, just like Eduardo. And here with us, we will have Oleg, which should be appearing in a couple seconds, I guess. So Oleg, hello Oleg. Oleg is Sweatcoin's co-founder and also Sweat Economy's co-founder. And we will have a little chat about what's Sweatcoin, what's Sweat Economy, what they are doing, and how does Web3 correlate with sports and also mobile. So I'll let Oleg start by introducing himself and also explaining a little bit of Sweatcoin and what they are doing, and then I'll proceed by asking him some questions. So go ahead.
Thank you, guys. It's the first time that I'm participating in an event where my face is in the front, but I actually see you from the back. It's very peculiar. Hey, yeah, now I can see your faces and your hands. Excellent. Sorry, guys, for making it a bit awkward. I'm Oleg. As Miguel said, I'm original co-founder of Sweatcoin. We started in 2015, and as name suggests, we were already thinking of blockchain. My first experience with Bitcoin was in 2011. I ran a pool mining pool software called BTC Guild. I actually found remnants of it on Wikipedia, which is very peculiar, and mined few satoshis, but thought that kind of token was not the key thing, and threw away that laptop. If you come across an old Mac, let me know. I still remember the password. It might be really beneficial for all of us right now. That would be quite a lot of money. So fast forward to now. We wanted to be on blockchain, as I mentioned, from 2015, but we couldn't be because there was no blockchain fast enough and kind of cheap enough to be able to support our 120 million users. Last year, all of a sudden, there was Algorand, there was Solana, there was Near, there was Avalanche, there was Polygon, you name it. We've evaluated more than a dozen chains and we've chosen Near. And on the 12th of September this year, we've launched our own token, Sweat. So we now have two businesses running. One is Sweatcoin, which is our original Web2 business, and Sweat Economy, which is our Web3 business that work hand in hand. Sweatcoin is health and fitness, and it helps us to acquire users and attract them. And the claim there is, it pays to walk. And as I mentioned, we have more than 120 million users that joined the service. And 15 million of these users have opted in to play our crypto game, which is called Sweat Economy, and get token Sweat. So this is what I'm leading at the moment, building our organization structure and the strategy to decentralization of this whole thing that we've built over the last 7 to 8 years. How we're going to become DAO, which is sort of next huge challenge. As Francisco before me absolutely beautifully described and explained, one of the biggest shortages in the industry right now is talent, and especially software developers. One thing where I would sort of disagree is, I think, on salaries and also on the goal to be in the United States. After having a global business, which is us, and evaluating on a number of occasions if we should open an American office to serve the United States, I can tell you that most VCs, including those that invested into us, if you ask them, should we be in the US? They say, if you can service US market, then don't come here. The costs are very high. The regulation is extremely difficult, especially when it comes to crypto and Web3. And for everyone who's coming from abroad, the visa situation, as well as your personal tax situation, is not going to be very, very simple. Portugal is an amazing place to be based if you're a Web3 developer. I'm based just outside of Lisbon, so you don't have to go far from home in order to participate in amazing project. Because we, for example, hire from practically anywhere in the world. We prefer ±4 time zones from Lisbon, but we do have some people based in Seoul, we have some people in Hong Kong, we have some people on the East Coast of the United States. So, kind of location right now is less of a barrier than ever. And I do believe that, kind of Portugal is an amazing place that, you don't necessarily have to give up on in order to be part of an amazing project and earn really, really good salary. Before we launch into questions, which I prefer, I wanted to sort of talk to you a little bit about the bugbear of mine, or kind of the main thing that I talk to everyone who is considering a career of an entrepreneur or building their own project. And the main point that if there was one thing that I would like to leave you with is, don't start a business if you have an idea. You should start a business when you have a problem that you really want to solve. And ideally, it is the problem that you personally experience. And the reason for it is actually very, very simple. People don't pay for ideas. Nobody buys ideas. What people buy is a solution to a problem that they have. And that means that they would be interested. That means that they would want to spend money. And also, if you want to build a team, it is a lot easier to find investment from people who all of a sudden kind of go, ooh, I have this problem. I actually want this guy to solve it. It is easier to find co-founders if you explain the problem and people kind of go, ooh, you know what? I have this problem as well. I would like to solve it. Ideas are typically not taking people on the same journey. Problems do. And when you start a business, the most amazing thing about the problem is that, in order to build a product, you still will need an idea, but that idea will be squarely placed to solve the problem that you're focusing on. And if that idea is bad, the project that is based around the idea is going to be dead, and they're going to be running around kind of looking for another purpose in life, and will be, it's called pivot, and it is quite a complicated situation to be in. A lot of startups don't manage to do pivots very well. But if you focus on a problem, then it's very natural and organic. You kind of go, well, I learned a new thing, and my idea has to evolve from this to this one, because this idea now solves this problem that I'm focusing on a lot better than the original idea. And this is hugely different from the dynamics of the organization. Your whole team is going to feel comfortable and confident rather than, oh my God, we're changing direction. Oh, what does it mean? We're all gonna die. You just say, look, we've learned new things. The situation changes. We know now a lot more than we were before. And therefore, we need to modify our idea and do this. The team is taking it better. Your investors will be taking it better. Your users also will be taking it better. So if I leave you one thing today, it is, don't start with the idea, always start with a problem. On this note, I would love to, kind of hear if you have any questions, guys. Ask me absolutely anything.
So, where's the microphone? Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay, I will look
I
to you.
Yay, thank you.
So I need to see your reaction. And no, but I completely agree with you. When starting a project is important to focus in the problem mainly. And I was interesting, since you are working in the Web3 field, trying to understand what kind of problems you think currently exist in society. Of course, in your opinion, or the problems you identified so far, that the Web3 technology or the existing blockchains could solve, and that is not possible to solve with Web2 technologies. I'm not sure if the question was clear.
I'm not the best source for this type of info, because of course I am now very biased and very focused on Sweatcoin and Sweat economy, but I will give you sort of, well, at least one idea that I find really, really engaging, but also potentially framework on how to think about finding the problem that you would be interested in solving. The framework for me boils down to the fact that Web3 is different from Web2 insofar as it enables true ownership. You know, it is a world where it's not Control-C, Control-V, and everything is replicable and everything is copyable, and it is all about connectivity. Web3 allows you to own one thing, and for you to know that it's only you that owns that, and nobody else, you know, can take it away from you without your permission. It is quite a big shift in thinking for the internet. In physical world, we know this. You know, if I own a painting, then I own a painting. But in digital world, that simply just did not exist. So if you're thinking about the types of problems that Web3 and blockchain and crypto is best geared to solve, then you should be thinking about ownership of asset, where, you know, kind of doing something that will be able to attach digital right to a physical individual is making the solution 10x better than anything that exists right now. To give you two examples, one is obviously us, you know, I'm biased. And the example here is, we all know that physical activity has value. You know, well, if it was worthless, then nature wouldn't give us legs. You know, we would probably be trees and we wouldn't be able to move around. So there is some utility in movement, in physical activity. And nature probably envisioned that it would be transport to move us from point A to point B. But right now, that is not even the most valuable thing. The most valuable thing is you being physically active, exercising, burning calories, and staying in good shape, because that's what sort of helps you to stay healthy, live longer, and be kind of in good mental shape as well. So that has utility. We don't know how, you know, how valuable each step is, but what we know is that it's non-zero. By creating an asset called sweat, what we're doing is we're basically creating an asset class that is backed by the value of physical activity. And we're right now creating an environment and the market situation where this asset class can be traded. And therefore, we as humans can figure out what is the actual value of physical activity to the world. You know, before it was all words. You know, your doctor, if you're coming and, you know, kind of you're clearly overweight and, you know, you're sedentary, and the doctor would say, God, you need to move more. You know, your insurer can also say, you know what, you know, if you're more physically active, I can probably even give you a discount. Your family also kind of, come on, you playing games the whole day, you know, look at yourself, you know, just go outside and, you know, at least look at the sun. All of these things are just words. What is missing is the actual financial expression in order to trigger economic exchanges around this. And creation of sweat enables this to happen. Now, this is one example. The other example that crossed my desk very, very recently is ticketing. You know, we probably all encountered this. You know, you go to a concert or, you know, you go to a festival and you get your ticket. It might even be sent to you in post because it's in paper form, or it can be sent to you as a PDF with a QR code. Now, we have NFTs that can carry quite a lot of information, and they can be attached to a specific individual, and they can be given a right to resell. And during resell, they can also create revenue streams, not only to the current owner, but to the original issuer of this NFT. So all of a sudden, you are creating a ticket that is not just attached to you and can be attached to another person if you sell it, but it can also create an additional secondary market income, for example, to an artist, if those tickets are going through the roof and the price, you know, increases. We all heard these stories that, you know, ticket to, you know, a gig was like, I don't know, 2,000 euros. You know, and artist doesn't get absolutely anything from this increase. In NFT world, they can. So these are the two ideas that I can list to you, or I can give to you right now. But to be honest, I'm not specifically collecting them because I already have my dream that I'm working on. But if you want, I can start sort of looking out for this, and would be happy to feed if something crosses my desk.
Can you hear me? Okay, it's on. I understand your answer, and thank you for sharing your opinion. Myself, I'm also working in the Web3 area, and sometimes I just question myself about some applications that I see and try to imagine if it is possible to build it exactly with the same value proposition in Web2 or not, with another technology than a blockchain, for example. That's the main concern, interest behind my question, but as I understood, you don't see Sweat and even a ticketing system, just the one you described, working with the same value proposition, for example, just using Web2 technologies, right?
Well, it is a slightly different question. I gave you two examples where I do not see, we cannot create tradable crypto token, cryptocurrency, without blockchain. It's impossible. I mean, from 2015, when we were discussing the idea, we said, well, we want to have currency backed by the value of physical activity. If we want to have currency, one of the two ways is possible. First, we need a country. It might be a small country, but you need a country, or you build on blockchain. Country is a little bit complicated, so, kind of that left only blockchain. In case of ticketing and NFTs, if you actually want to attach ownership to a specific individual, you need full, complete traceability and, complete open ledger, because otherwise resell of an NFT might not be transparent and the new owner might not be able to verify that they own this asset, and this could lead to issues. So, the examples were specifically Web3. I do agree with you, however, that there are plenty of dApps, apps, and ideas that I see in Web3 where it does cross my mind. Why the hell do you bother with blockchain? Why are you doing this? Why are you calling this crypto? You can perfectly do this in Web2, and it is not going to be in any way detrimental. A lot of people put blockchain into their idea because they feel that it will miraculously increase their valuation, will allow them to raise money, and that it will just attract users just because they mentioned blockchain. It's all bollocks. To be honest, it might have been a short period when this was all hype. Right now, nobody's going to bite, and nobody's going to all of a sudden start throwing money at you if you're putting blockchain into, into your business plan. The industry is maturing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you for your answers.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Oleg, for the answer, and thank you so much also for the question. I would also like to thank for the knowledgeable insights and advices that you just gave. So does anybody have any question? Or can I keep? Okay, so if you have any question, doing the questions that I'm doing, make sure you interrupt me to make yours. So I'd like to start asking you, which is the question that most people may be asking themselves when they start exploring a little bit of Sweatcoin, Sweat economy, and what you are doing, is what are the measures that you are taking to ensure Sweatcoin sustainability and also reliability and all that stuff? Basically, how do you pay and make sure that it's sustainable?
It is a big question. There are multiple levels to this, to this question. If I'm talking about business, then the way to check if you are doing things right is to make sure that you have a business that is at least breaking even or is profitable. Because if you are not breaking even, then you are walking dead. and you can perish any day if capital market change. And this is a very, very unfortunate situation to be in. So always remember, it's like having for human, a positive temperature. Kind of if your temperature drops below 35 degrees, you're dead. That's same thing with companies. If if you are not breaking even, then it's just a matter of time. So keep that always in mind and in focus. If you're talking about technology and, for example, our application, then it is slightly different. There are three main metrics that we track and we pay attention to. The first metric is behavior change. This is basically change in the number of steps that you're taking every day, because our mission is to make the world more physically active, which means that everything we do either moves the needle on this metric up or at least leaves it at the same level. We do not let anything roll out into our apps if it has detrimental effect on your behavior change. That's number one. Number two is retention. Retention is an extremely difficult to move metric, and ultimately it is the evidence of value that users see in your product. If your retention is dropping, then it means something gotten worse, that users like you less, that you adding less value to their lives and they're abandoning you. So retention is number two. And the third one for us, because we are very focused not on spending marketing money, but on delivering value to the users to a degree that they recommend us to their friends, to their family. So we like this viral coefficient. So the third metric that we track the most is what's called K factor. That is the number of users that each new user invites. So behavior change, retention, and K factor.
Thank you so much. So does anybody have any question? No? Okay. All right. So I'll keep on asking. So you already answered a little bit about how you transitioned from Web 2 to Web 3, but I would also like to ask what are the biggest challenges that you are facing right now from this pivot? It's not pivot, but also the introduction from Web 3 to the Web 2 Sweatcoin that you already had.
Sure. By far, the biggest challenge is talent. We are hiring quite a lot, and we need a lot more people. The issue with Web3 talent is that there are a lot of very spoiled people that I have encountered. Somebody with like 2 years of experience would all of a sudden be behaving as if they worked for like 20 years in the industry. And in the interview, they'd be trying to sort of teach us how to do this and this, because, oh my God, they've started working in Web3 in 2019. It is kind of very, very frequent situation, especially, kind of we encountered this a lot in the US. So we need more people and really, really good professionals who are humble, as opposed to sort of think that they're God sent gift because they spend very, very little time, kind of working in Web3. The other thing is we need to clean up the industry. There are way too many crooks and thieves and felons and, kind of course, if you're in this meetup, you have heard of FTX fiasco and the fraud that was committed. In my journey, I have encountered a lot of individuals and had a lot of conversations that were simply illegal. Let me give you an example. You having conversation with an exchange and they're saying that, yeah, we will list you, but before we list you, my grandma will have to invest into you, minimum this amount of money. You're like, what? does exchange know that, your grandma is investing before you list tokens? Of course not. But how would they know? And this is sort of happening left, right, and center. And this is really damaging the whole industry, because invariably people like that end up being caught. They either, end up being, kind of publicly prosecuted, and it just damages damages everybody, because people who read those articles, people who see those TV reports, are thinking that the whole industry is littered with these crooks and thieves. So, if you hear anything like this going on, tell people, be a whistleblower, make sure that actions like that are definitely punished, because unless we from inside clean the act, we're going to be so regulated, and it's going to be such an oppressed industry that nobody will ever want to work in there. So to summarize, people won, ethics and sort of cleaning up the ranks is 2.
Yep. So one more question. Thank you so much
Sure.
for the answer. How do you foresee the future of Sweatcoin, and how the future of blockchain might impact Sweatcoin?
I mean, we see the future of sweat and sweat economy in a, I guess, very simple way. When you're thinking about distances, you think kilometers. When you think of temperature, you think degrees Celsius. When you think of weight, you think kilos. What we would like to create is an understanding that if you think about physical activity, then you think of sweat. We would like our token to become the primary unit of physical activity value. Why is that? Because we would like this to, kind of be in people's minds, because if you think that physical activity has value and you can benefit from it, then you will move more. And that will create an immense amount of value for humanity, because physically active people are more productive, they live longer, they ultimately pay more taxes. So, this is very, very big kind of economic opportunity for all of us, and for our token to become the linchpin of this economy that can be built around the value of physical activity. How will blockchain impact us? To be honest, I don't have an answer. I'm very closely tracking kind of what's going on. What I hope is going to be happening is that throughput of blockchains is going to continue to increase, because our scale now is not million miles away from the kind of top throughputs of the top blockchains that are right now. And we are pushing our partner NEO, for example, to constantly be thinking, okay, how are we going to support these guys when they need 10,000 transactions per second at peak, 100,000 transactions per second at peak? So in order for us to create competitors to Visas and MasterCards and, kind of take on a lot of digital asset exchanges, blockchains need to become a lot faster than they are right now.
So finishing up, I got 1 or 2 more questions. So do you think that with this exponential advance of technology and the throughput that you were talking about, do you think that blockchain will be able, or is near of being capable, to change the way that we interact with each other, humans interact with each other?
I don't think so. I might be totally wrong, but I see blockchains as a technology that helps us to interact with assets, because this is what blockchains are good at, to track and exchange, to track the ownership and exchange of ownership of assets. The exchange of thoughts, ideas, videos, messages, etc. I don't think they need to be done on blockchain, unless you need sort of infinite traceability and full complete record, which, to be honest, I kind of called me old-fashioned, but I really don't need everything I ever said to be remembered and recorded somewhere. So yeah, I see it as an kind of something that will move us into the future in terms of what we consider as assets. How do we own these assets? For example, one of the interesting conversations I had recently was self-custody. I'm sure that if you guys are here, then you do know what self-custody is, right? And a lot of people are asking questions, why are people not, kind of using self-custody more? And the answer is because it's an alien concept. We for hundreds of years were not given self-custody. If you had money, you kept it in the bank. The only self-custody that was given to you is over a small amount. So you would withdraw money from an ATM, and that would be self-custody. But everything else would be sitting in the bank, because otherwise it would be not safe, not practicable, and it can burn, it can get stolen, blah, blah, blah. Only with advent of blockchain, we actually have realistically an opportunity to have self-custody of almost an unlimited wealth without much risk. The $5 wrench attack, of course, is always there, but kind of aside from that, it's self-custody all of a sudden, this new magical thing that we need to be delivering to to people more and more and more, and explaining to them.
The thing I was most thinking about was about communities, something related with communities, assets. So, but I think you answered well. So, thank you. And the last question I have is, not only what was the most important lesson that you feel like you learned while founding Sweatcoin, and also what is the most important thing to keep in mind when you are creating a Web3 project / application / business?
Oh, there were lots, but let me bring a couple. I think the first one is, everyone is talking about token economics and complexity and how Web3 is unique and different, etc. And my biggest learning is Web3 is not really different from Web2. Especially when you're starting to build a business. The successful Web3 project, like Web2 project, is a project that generates more than it consumes. And that's the most important thing that you always need to remember. In Web2, business is profitable when your revenue is, at least revenue is higher than your expenses, right? In Web3, people are inventing all of these different flywheels, and this token turns into that token. And because of this, it's sort of miraculously, immune to ever going down. Everyone remembers probably Terra Luna sort of situation. What you need to do is always abstract yourself and, pull yourself out of those very complicated, typically flywheels, and look at money going in, money going out. If the project cannot get to the point that money going in is bigger, the amount, than money going out, then no matter how much complexity and however many tokens you put inside, it is going to fail. It is going to go to zero. So let me give you an example. Step N. There was a huge amount of, hoopla. I remember when they launched, so many people like our investors and, so many industry players were coming to us. Oh my God, Step N, have you seen, they're eating your lunch and, it's going to be horrible. Guys, what are you going to do? You're going to have to change all your business model and repeat Step N. And I remember having conversations like, no, I think the biggest concern that we are going to have several months down the line is explaining to people why we are not Step N and why we're not going to go down the drain like they will. And people thought it was arrogant, but the reason for it was very simple. If you look I don't. Are you familiar with Stepan? Any of you? Have you used it? I don't know. Don't see nods. So let me explain it then. Basically, Stepan is a move to earn concept. You download an app, you buy an NFT that allows you then to earn money by exploiting this NFT, which is basically a trainer, like a pair of trainers. And they're wearing off, you need to pay money to repair them, etc., etc. And it was going great guns because people were paying like $1,000 to get the pair of trainers. And then they were earning every day, upwards from $100 for literally like 10 or 15-minute walk. But if you looked at the, kind of at the business from, great height, what you saw was a business that was charging end users $1,000. But the reason why these people paid $1,000 was because they wanted to earn more than $1,000. But the only source of income of the business was users paying that $1,000. So where would that extra come from? The only source of income was users, so it will have to be the next user. And that is a Ponzi. So they were going great for about 3 months until the acquisition of new users has gone down, and the whole business right now is kind of non-existent. So, that's one big learning. Don't get distracted by Web3 is a completely new thing and it's completely different. Always think about the business being profitable, more money coming in than coming out, at least as an end goal. The second thing, the second big learning for me is technology in Web3 is not nearly as complicated as people make it. Be it Solidity, be it Trust, smart contracts. People say that it's completely black magic. No, it's not. It's not actually even the most complicated code. My team, a lot of people that work right now on our blockchain project, only started coding, Web3 about 6 months ago. And what they're saying is that the biggest issue is not that it is complicated. The biggest issue that it's just not very well baked yet, especially Solidity, that allows for a lot of errors to be made. The compilation process is not weeding out all of those edge cases, errors, and issues. Rust is a lot better. So don't assume that it is extremely complicated. It actually is not. And with that confidence, go forth. And, we really, really do need good developers, a lot more people who are doing this for absolutely right reasons other than just becoming, rich quickly.
Exactly. So thank you so much. Unless anyone has any question. Okay. You have one. Go ahead.
Hey.
Hello. I just have a small, it's a really simple question actually. You were talking about when we asked you what were the main threats to Sweatcoin and what did you learn when making it? You answered that there was a lot of arrogant people and the blockchain community. We need to clean up the blockchain community. Yeah. My question is really simple. Do you think that the only answer to this problem is just wait it out, or are we doing something wrong? Do we need to do something more to clean up the reputation that blockchain has, or it's just time and you started to wait it out? And I remember in the beginning, blockchain was really used on betting sites, drugs, and all of that stuff. But that simply doesn't happen anymore because of time, I guess. Does this still applies or are?
Yeah, good. Very, very good point. I do remember in 2011 when I first looked at it, it was effectively, Bitcoin, owning Bitcoin meant that you were buying drugs, which is sort of one of the reasons why I sort of didn't engage with it, because it's just like, whatever. It evolved a lot. But what I'm, actually, let me take us 3 steps back. Is it really blockchain that is that unique? No. If we look through the history of financial services, it was absolutely horrendous. The reason why we have so much financial regulation was because it did attract crooks. Ponzi is the name of the guy that created a Ponzi scheme. And a lot of banks were nothing just fronts to laundering money from either illegal alcohol or drug trade or whatever, and regulation sort of slowly cleaned, I wouldn't even say cleaned up the act. It sort of removed illegal activity from the surface and pushed it down. And all of those people that right now would have been in banks and peddling illegal alcohol and drugs, etc., they're right now in blockchain, because you know what? This is the place to earn quick buck, do a rug pull, earn a few million here and there, and then retire on the island. And a lot of people would lose morals, kind of feel, fair game. So that, that is the reality that we're facing right now. What is likely to happen is that regulators are likely to come in and do the same thing that they've done with financial services, which makes it slow, which makes it incompatible from one country to another, which is why I said that we need to be cleaning this up from within. Like that conversation that I played to you, we've actually, had a conversation with the guy, and we just said, look, don't do it. We are not going to give your grandma, any money to invest into us, and actually fucking do it because we're going to make it public. And it was not particularly pleasant conversation, but I think that, the guy, and I don't believe that he stopped, but I'm sure that he's going to think 10 times before he's going to propose this to other projects. And the more people are kind of saying, stop doing this, this is going to bring more regulation, this is going to bring more problems to the industry, this is going to frighten mass market users away, which means that they are basically damaging our chances of making this a success. It's not like they are doing something bad. They are literally shitting on our lunch. And everyone who is participating in Web3 needs to see it like that and needs to smack them if you see such a behavior. One of the things that I'm pushing in Web3 community is a whistleblowing system, because sometimes, especially young people who just come into the business, they are not necessarily keen on making a grand stand. But if we can create a system where information can be leaked in a safe way and kind of into some sort of governing body of OGs and people respected in the industry that can potentially review it and take some action, we can really create massive disincentives for SBFs and SBF-like characters to do what they do, because you would be looking around, kind of and thinking, shit, who is actually going to, kind of betray me and reveal this information to others? And hopefully that will stop people from committing fraud.
Thank you so much for the answer. I think it was concise and clear. So I guess we're finishing up, wrapping it up. A round of applause for Oleg. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. keep pushing, just parting, parting shot. So keep pushing. I think you're in, absolutely the right place. Web3 is the future, I think, of kind of financial services, in the world. And we just need to help people to understand the value of it, that it gives them, agency, independence from, kind of people who, through neglect or bad intent, might actually make these people poorer. So self-custody and, kind of helping people to take control over the finances is a massive, massive thing that, we can help the whole world to, to be richer, to be more comfortable with managing their finances. And yeah, we're there all the way. We're letting people literally walk into crypto. And if you are not members of Sweatcoin and Sweat Wallet, please do.
So next time we'll definitely ask you to give us some merch, and we will also save one of these for you when you come to Coimbra.
Absolutely.
So thank you. This is a wrap up. Right now the talks are over. If you think you've missed any of the talks or any little point, make sure you go to the live stream. It's all recorded. So that's it. Thank you. Right now we can just enjoy the beer that is left and the food. Take some merch, and that is it, guys. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys.